I mean, I can wholly understand not wanting Airbnbs to exist anymore, but how is regulation going to help that?
I can imagine that's the only way the Airbnbs are not going to exist anymore is regulation. I can't go around shooting Airbnb owners.
With the fucking
Well, I mean,
government.
that would be about
I
as
know
moral as.
I'm trying to spice the recording up for you, Liam.
Yeah, but that would be just about as moral as asking for regulation, so why not just do that? Then at least
Rembo,
you
you're
can
not
take the
helping
responsibility
Liam's
yourself
recording.
instead of then at least you could take the responsibility yourself instead of putting it on the state and getting somebody else to do your dirty work for you.
Okay, Liam, title this recording FBI tape evidence A.
No. The point I'm making is obviously the opposite one. Both of those options are immoral. Both of those options are violations of the other person's rights. So why not go all the way then? I mean, the regulations are basically just the state threatening putting people in cages or potentially shooting them if they resist just a bit too much. So what's the difference?
I mean, is there a right to Airbnb?
No, but you have the right to do with what is yours what you wish. And if you own a house and you want to rent out some Airbnb rooms,
I don't want to sound condescending, but like that, it doesn't just end there. Like having a thing doesn't mean you have the right to do anything with that thing that you wish, or else you'd have people like that Daryl dude in Wisconsin. He owned that SUV that he then plowed through the Christmas parade with.
well,
That was his right. He owned the SUV.
No,
like,
no, of course
that's
it
what I'm
was.
saying. Like,
no,
so that argument only
West,
goes so far.
West. No, West. That doesn't. Our argument doesn't go just far. The first piece of your property is your body. You can't use your Look, if I own an axe and I use that axe to smash the shit out of the front door of my neighbor, that's not doing anything that I. That's not just simply using my axe. That's destroying somebody else's property. Right, let me rephrase. You can do with what is yours as you wish, as long as you're not interfering with the means of somebody else. So you can't destroy their property, you can't use their property without their express consent, their property including their body. So no, you can't just drive your SUV into somebody else's body. Of course you can't. That's violating their property, the most sacred of their property, their body. Is my breathing coming through or something?
Only slightly.
There's some static.
So right now I'm trying to find similar size land between and 7,800 square foot lot.
Oh, to catch Rainbow up, we were talking about, well, pretty much the housing market. Well, my argument, and I believe it's also Folkmind's argument, would just deregulate the price of houses to go down.
Pretty much.
The price of houses is a reflection on how much demand there is for houses compared to how much supply there is of houses.
And my argument is that when new houses are built, BlackRock and others just come and sweep in and buy it up.
Yeah, and regulation is going to help that. How? These regulations and all that other crap are the reason. And then the not the previous, but the financial crisis before that, where all of that shit started, that was directly caused by regulation. Directly. Because the government demanded that mortgage loans be given to subprime lenders, basically, on the basis of race. So banks started giving out these subprime loans to people on the basis of race because they were afraid of getting getting huge fucking fines from the government for being racist. Then some less than ethical actors within the banks saw their opportunity and started shuffling all that shit around, making shitloads of cash. And then the entire thing crashed as per the usual. And then the same people that always do swooped in and bought the properties. And that happens again and again and again. That's nothing new. That's what always happens. The government is the central apparatus of control, of force, of violence. There's some people that have a lot of money, a lot of power, but they don't either have the chutzpah or they don't want to be associated with the violence, so they try to keep a distance from that, and those people will pay the state to do their bidding. And then we have the BlackRocks, the people like and the people. They'd rather control you through their magic money and let the actual violence and coercion be handled by somebody else. They prefer their fraud.
So real quick, 7,800 square foot of lot land, which seems to be a standard lot. It's oddly shaped, but it's what do you guys, if you could guess, what a standard house lot would be? You know, front yard, backyard, nothing fancy. How much do you think the land of that would cost?
Currently,
The problem there is, West. I mean, the land in my city is horrendously expensive.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Drive 20 minutes outside
I
the
just want to
city
hear
and
your
it's-
guys' average guess, and that's why I'm comparing in versus outside the city. I'm going to pull outside the city here in a moment.
Well, I have
with
no
all
freaking
the
clue.
with all the regulation, probably like a quarter million, or maybe
So 207,000 is what it's saying here. So that's before we've
Mhm.
even drawn a blueprint for the house. God forbid what permits and all the other stuff is going to cost.
In-
yeah. Now I'm trying to find. Need to get me.
I wonder what the other one is going to be.
I do not remember how much I paid for this
Fuck,
place,
it's
but
actually
I'm pretty
more.
sure it was above 200.
It costs more. It's 280,000. Let me look further out.
Maybe that's a fancy neighborhood.
And you
I mean,
were
yeah,
saying
there's
780,
shortage.
780 square feet, right?
I'm looking in the So I set this one to 7,500 because that's an actual filter I can do. So this is actually 6,700 at 280,000. I'm looking up a random city. It's like out in the middle of nowhere.
For fuck's sake.
What's up?
Oh, just finding shit on the internet these days is impossible. Because of a search engine optimization. Optimization for the fucking websites, not the search engines or the users.
Yeah, SEO involved gardens are a problem.
So out in the boonies, truly out in the middle of nowhere, no major city for an hour. It is 79,000.
79. And then you do have connections to water, power, and all that stuff.
Let me see if it lists that kind of stuff.
Maybe no sewer.
This lot has water and wastewater service.
Huh.
PCC pedestal pad on lot and ready to be connected to. Community is set up as a condominium regime. The entire community is approximately 12 acres. This lot is approximately 690,000 square foot. 6,909.
Anybody want to play a game? I don't feel like
That's
being
cool.
productive anymore.
Yeah, we can.
Sounds good.
I looked at my barrel of hoesting this morning, and it was there was a hole in the bottom. All my hoesting was gone. Mijn hoesting. Ik had geen hoesting. Geen klote hoesting. I didn't feel like it. When in Flemish, when we don't really don't feel like doing something, we say ik heb geen hoesting. Ik heb geen hoesting. It's like it's I don't have the taste for it. It's because it also goes like when you feel like having something. Ik heb hoesting in een joint.
Okay.
Ik heb goesting in chips. Ik heb goesting in choco. Oh shit, ik heb echt geen goesting om die bucht weer te eten vandaag. I really don't feel like eating that crap again today. So it's probably some loanword from Spanish gusta or something. Do recall that the Spaniards used to rule supreme here at some point. So it's probably a loanword from there.
Proper rent.
Yeah,
Have a
he
look at this
used it.
game. Like, it is not in a primary location, but it's very small, so whatever.
Or I have a body of mine in Norden. It's literally
Yeah, I'll just put it in general chat so other people can look as well.
I already posted those.
Kranenbroek.
It wouldn't be that weird.
Yeah,
Voorkeuren
so
wijzigen.
So I found.
I mean, it's pretty
I-
near. That's a major city, man. Proper train.
it's not the
connection.
worst place. And if you have a car, yeah, then
Again, you could be, or in.
So I thought
Yeah.
I found this small craftsman's house thing to like it said like build your like it's like $580. So I'm like, holy shit, this is something more my style. And then it's like, no, you misunderstand. The house isn't 580. The PDF telling you how to build the house, you got to get the own materials yourself. The PDF is $580. So excuse me.
well, the world is full of people trying to sell you something.
Well, I'm just trying to think of like, okay, so we have the $80,000 land.
It's PDF. Just
Can
you
we
know,
get
I'm sure you can find it somewhere.
Give me the title.
so we're looking at the prefab
Seriously,
stuff.
send me the title.
No, I mean it's whatever is on this house. I'll send you the link.
But it seems like building ground is significantly cheaper than like ground.
I am pretty sure West must be looking in the wrong place, because if in a country is small and built up, you can get a 200 square meter construction ground for
I mean, I can go
27,000.
here. I will go to like the arid desert of
Yeah, but this isn't
Whoa,
that.
whoa, whoa, whoa,
There
whoa,
is a
whoa, 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 whoa.
supermarket
No,
within
no, no,
cycling
no, 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 no.
distance.
Fogmind,
Yeah.
one thing you have to, that previous lot that he was looking at, that was
Mm-hmm.
7,500 square feet, right? West? 7,500 square feet, right?
yeah.
That is 700 square meters, my
Yeah,
friend.
you don't need 700 square meters.
No, but they're Americans. They're like that. And I mean,
This is part of the problem, then, I guess.
not,
like, if you
not
get a-
necessarily having a
give
chance
me-
to get
give
the
me
fuck
a-
away from your neighbors.
Give me a proper square footage I should look for then.
Well, what Fogmind was
Yeah.
looking at was like 200 square meters, which is like 2,200 square feet.
Let's do that.
Okay,
Okay.
so
You could put a container on there. So.
Absolutely. No, let's do it on the.
no, you're right because before that we would have a container with a big fucking yard. We're just trying to fit a container. So
You could even get like one of those where we were talking about like a tree or something stacked on top of each other with
Yeah,
frame for the-
Okay, if you have multiple front doors on a property, then you run into all kinds of regulations.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But let's just do cheap.
when they play this tape back, they're gonna take this out of context and say like, see, here is where they're planning their grounds for the.
We're gonna have to beep so much things.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're gonna find
The
it
container,
suspicious that there's a
we
lot of.
found,
Patreon
we found a
exclusive.
container
So how
for
many-
38. We found a container for 38 and a piece of land for 27. That is combined. That is 65.
So
So
no,
in the
what's the
Netherlands,
square
in a
footage
place
I'm
with
looking
good-
for? What's the square footage I'm looking for?
I think Rambo said 2,200.
2,200. Also,
Okay.
run the game.
So 65,000, and you have a place to live.
I paid like
I
I don't
said
remember
it-
what I paid for my house, but it was close to 2K or more.
I set it to 2,000,
200.
and you know what it did? It said none available. You can buy a house instead. It literally just suggested houses.
Okay, that sucks. But so what I just showed you is not possible over there.
What did you just show me? I think I missed a link.
Okay, so the lowest
Oh,
link
I'm looking in
is
the
a
wrong.
place-
I'm looking in my DMs. Hold on.
latest link
okay.
is a place in the which is for sale for 27,000 euros.
Mhm.
It's 200 square meters, so I think 2,200 feet.
Mhm.
Piece of land where you were allowed to build a house. Then the link I shared earlier with the containers you can live in. Your cheapest one was 38,000.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like what you listed here, the 27,000, that very
Yep.
much used to exist in America about 10 years ago,
Okay.
and that is
So-
so far gone now, like way gone.
No,
Let me double check.
understand that through market shocks, existing properties can become really expensive for a while because building things takes time, etc. Why is the land expensive?
Liam, this is where you do the soundboard for the America song. So the house I used to live in, we got it for 90,000. It's 234,000. That house has a shit roof. I know it because we had to put it under multiple repairs. It's got fucking what's the not gnats, termites. Fucking infested with termites, and that shit's 234,000.
Yeah, two
And
by
that
four
is-
construction.
And that
Sucks,
is
but
on
that's a whole-
1,400 square foot.
So, why is the land expensive?
Regulation and inflation.
I think so, but I want Wes to tell us why is the land expensive.
I don't know why all the land is expensive where it is.
There's probably regulations against chopping up your lots into smaller lots to be able to sell them easier. So regulation, and I mean the raw numbers of everything have swung completely out of control because of inflation, as in inflation of the money supply, not the rising of prices. Damn you, Marianne Webster, and all the rest of you.
The dictionaries are lying to us.
Yeah, exactly.
Just call it debasement.
Yeah, but you know, the problem there is you can't debase something that's worthless, that's valueless. You can't debase the currency. The word debase means to mix in baser metals. That's what debasing is. Mixing something less valuable in there. And there is nothing less valuable than nothing.
More nothing in this case.
Well, No, it's just that the boundaries of the nothing seem to. It's like what was it? The never-ending story with the boundaries of the nothing expanding or something.
Yeah, that's a never-ending story. Yeah,
Well, so the boundaries of the nothing are just expanding, but it's not like anything got added or anything.
I suppose.
But really, the basing was you took your gold or your silver coins, you recoined them, and you made them less pure.
Well, that's true, but the effect's the same. They increase the money supply, and now the money is worth less. Almost like
Which goes
supply
back
and
to
demand
part of my-
applies to money too.
Which goes back to my
Devaluation.
earlier complaint is that we increased the money supply drastically, and the vast majority of that went to the BlackRock, Fox, and others of that nature.
No.
Yeah.
You've got it wrong there, West.
I have
What
not gotten it
happens?
wrong.
Yeah, no, but this is very important. The point is not that the money ends up with BlackRock and all the other parasites. That's not inherently the problem. The problem is it ends up in their hands because I mean it doesn't stay in their hands.
You're
but
right
no,
in
no,
that
West-
it's not
West,
just the
this is
problem. It
important.
adds insult to injury.
No.
Go on.
This is the actual problem. The problem is it ends up in their hands first. The newly created money ends up in the hands of the state and the state's actors and the state's buddies first, so they can spend it as if it had not been inflated yet, as if it had not been devalued yet. So they can use their new money dollars to buy stuff at the current prices, and by the time that the dollars that they are holding have trickled down to people like you and me, the devaluation has happened. The prices have adjusted. So they get the state to print money to bail them out of a crisis. They use the money to buy the assets that have been immensely devalued at that point with their newly created dollars. And by the time those newly created dollars have made the rounds through everybody's hands and ended up in the normal consumer's hands, by that time they're worthless or much more worthless than they were before, because by that time people have figured it out. Because there's always a spike in demand first. When people get the new money into their hands, they want to spend it as quickly as possible on something that's actually useful. Then you always get a spike in demand, whether that can be demand for savings even, but there's always a spike in demand because people suddenly think they have more money. And that spike in demand creates a rise in prices, because it's usually not because there hasn't actually more value, more wealth has not been created. More things that people actually give a shit about, that people value, have not been created. Just more money. So prices rise.
So it's the same thing with giving people money during COVID.
And and exactly then as well, the largest amounts of money ended up in whose hands first? Pfizer, Amazon, all kinds of big fucking businesses. They had the largest amounts of money first.
And they spent it buying the dip.
Newly created money they used to get actual assets.
So,
According to
this
West,
is-
we need to stop
and this-
small
and by the way-
landlords from having Airbnbs, because
Also,
that's the problem.
this point,
no, it's not simply that, but of the pie of things, Airbnbs have gone up significantly. Purchases, some of that has been through your BlackRock type companies, subsidiary companies, and whatnot, under BlackRock's. I'm using them as a placeholder. So if you're like, oh, he's saying Black, no, you get what I'm saying. They're just the placeholder for the fuckwit companies, right?
Yep.
But then you have a lot of the boomer types that already had their wealth there, and then you have the Airbnb stuff. Because again, I know two people who come from the wealthier boomer families, and they themselves have gotten into Airbnb stuff.
part of it is, and I know that's something that bothers you, and this is just a cultural, psychological problem, is rent-seeking behavior.
When you're saying rent-seeking behavior, I don't know at which angle you're talking about it from.
These
talking about
days,
landlords
people
seeking rent?
want people want to make money simply from having money, or they want to generate wealth simply from having wealth, which is bullshit.
My thing is that because where I compromise is I'm A-okay with the BlackRocks and all them doing that with apartment or multiple dwelling like units and stuff, like have at it, go for it. But then when they're buying up entire suburban neighborhoods and treating them like apartment units, but then charging them above housing prices to where like you can't even get in to rent a house for like without it being like $3,000, you know? So like it's because obviously when you rent, it's going to be more than a house.
Well,
Often. I don't know where it is where you guys are.
The thing is, look, either one. No,
Okay, so let me explain very briefly. Okay, it's more expensive to rent even an apartment than it is to buy a house. Problem is you can't get approved for a house, so you are damned to being in an apartment. So then it turns into this like you have to seek permission from the banks for a better life.
but I mean, look, and all of this is to be the causes for all of this are to be found in the same place every time. The fact that people don't understand what the different you can call it whatever you want, but I mean people don't understand what the difference between private and public is. People don't understand why private property and keeping that bound to the individual is excessively important, because this is just all of this bullshit is just a logical consequence of the way we've been handling of the way our society and our legal systems are built. It's an incoherent mess that's made for one thing, and that's serving the people that run it.
Well, maybe you should explain the difference between private property and a corporation.
Corporations are buying up all the private property.
It's incredibly important that everything that's owned is ascribable to a specific individual, because that's the only way you can solidly, clearly determine who has the right to do what with it. Because when it belongs to a certain individual, that person has the right to do with it whatever the fuck they want, and nobody has a right to do anything else, to do anything with it whatsoever without that person's permission. And that's pretty damn clear. And when something is somebody's property, there's obviously incentives involved. You want to maintain your property. And if you don't maintain your property, that constitutes abandonment and it's not your property anymore. So all of these things are incredibly clear. When you start expanding that to a company, it's possible to have a company with multiple people, but then you just have to be very specific about who owns what or what kind of a split there is going to be. And if you want money to finance your activities or finance some expansion, there is no reason why you can't go to other people and ask them for money and take a loan from them. But when you start...
where did companies as illegal people come from anyway?
That depends on place to place, basically.
Sure.
But corporations aren't people, but they're treated as people. That's what it means. Corporation, corpus, body, incorporation, an embodiment.
Yes, and then you get limited liability, which
Yep.
is fun.
For some reason, because a person's liability isn't limited. A person is
I'm not
completely liable.
responsible
But then the
for
thing
the
is,
actions of this company. I'm the CEO. I just work here.
it's more than that. The company isn't responsible for the actions of their employees, because that was the employees. So I mean, look, when you do an initial public offering, you cease being a private company because you're offering stock to the public. From my perspective, and there's plenty of other libertarians that would disagree with me, the idea of stock is semi-fraudulent. At least the way it's implemented these days. If you see stock as some sort of loan or something, or some sort of claim on a percentage of the profit or whatever, sure, that's one thing. But if you see stock as like part ownership of the company, what does that even mean? What does that mean? Does that mean you own that share in that computer that employee is using? Does that mean you're suddenly liable for the employee's behavior or something? What does that mean when you actually think about it? When you actually try to logically think this through and ask who is responsible for what? Who has the right to do what with what? Who needs to ask who for permission or all this crap? It just becomes impossible to determine just because there's something wrong with that freaking idea. Because all of a sudden, everybody and nobody is responsible anymore. Because it becomes quote unquote public.
If the shareholder is reliable, that might fix a lot of the problems.
No. That would just disincentivize people from doing it more.
It made the shares a lot less of a commodity because there are liabilities attached to it.
So yeah, but that would be a useless patch on something that's just look. If you want to sell claims on a percentage of your profits, I don't see why you couldn't sell that. I don't see why you couldn't sell. Oh, look, I'm giving you X percent of my profit or something, or X points of my profit or whatever the fuck for this amount of time, or in perpetuity, or as long as the company exists, or whatever. I don't see why you can't sell that. That seems like a perfectly legitimate good to me.
I believe like some companies do sell stock without voting right, in which case what the fuck is a stock then? But that.
So I don't see what's wrong. I wouldn't see what's wrong with doing something like that. Don't see what's wrong with a company going out, even making a public call saying, "Hey, yo, we need money. We want money. This is what we're going to do with it. Give us your money, and we'll pay you back in X amount of time, or in installments like this, or whatever the fuck." I don't see. I mean, it's not because you take money from all kinds of different people. As long as you make single clear contracts with all these people. Hey, look, I'm going into a loan with you. This company is going into a loan with you. This company is going into a loan with you. Whatever.